Wow. I did not expect for this option to be the most voted one. I was so confident it was going to be between the Recluse video and the Q&A for the 200 subs. Well, here's the video. First, I'll give you a personal timeline so you can say, "Oh, I have an unfair bias and disregard this entire video because of a certain thing that I say and how it leads to me having a flawed opinion and everything in this video is stupid and wrong and can't be applied to anyone else." So, here we are, 2024. As of right now, the raid Edge Salvation's Edge has just been completed by 5 hunters and a warlock with golden guns by some randoms I don't really know about. And Dado Does Destiny is still fighting the Witness right now as I'm writing this, and I'm also listening to the stream in the background while I'm recording this because I don't want to miss when they beat him. Well, when they beat the Witness. I mean, if you're watching this, I hope you have some basic knowledge of Destiny because this is just gonna be very weird if you don't. I might just explain it in a live stream. That's for later. It's important to note this because I'd like to compare this moment in history of Destiny to when I first joined Destiny 2 in 2017 or maybe 2018. I'm gonna be real, I cannot remember. I had just joined and I was still discovering the game and how good it was and how good it could be. And I can't emphasize how good Destiny 2 can be. Thankfully for me, at the time, Destiny 2 was free and it still is technically free, but a lot of people have argued that it's free to check out nowadays. It was more free to play in 2017. In 2017, what does this mean? It meant that I could really make sure that I liked the game. Destiny 2 at the time was an amazing game. It was already super amazing as a free to play. Next paragraph. Jesus Christ. My experience led me to an honestly really decent opinion of the game back then. I was addicted to Overwatch because it was still fresh, but Destiny truly was an amazing side dish that I could play with friends alone. And the alone part, it's with a little bit of between not really because as I'll say later, during a very specific raid layer, what I would do is join calls with randoms and talk with them. That's what I considered alone because it wasn't really with my friend. This is an important point in time for me with Destiny because this is when after getting introduced, I got to the game. I learned about the raids, specifically Callus, the Leviathan, the entire vibe that they brought to the game, the opulence, the eating of plenty, the gluttony. It's been done already by Dune, Star Wars, and other space sci-fi series, but Destiny 2 and Callus had such glory to its Callus vibe and the Leviathan vibe because the just being surrounded by gold and purple and royal and have this character who is so far above you even though you're an immortal guardian. He was just this absolute beast character, just exist above you and just essentially have you as a peon, was amazing. And this leads me to say that that specific time in place was the most fun I've ever had in a video game as a free to play in Destiny and in other games, other free to play games. And honestly, as a gamer as a whole, it was just simply so much fun exploring these raids, doing these raids over and over and over. It was so much fun. But why was I free to play then? If I enjoyed these raids so much, I probably should have wanted to go to, for example, Forsaken, right? The thing is, I was raised up in a family culture that not only really didn't like the idea of spending money on video games, but when I did, I was allowed to do it once per year with a more or less budget of 60 euros per year. That's around 65 for you Americans. Destiny 2 was already really good, but because of that, I didn't really want to spend money on expansions since none of my friends were playing Destiny 2. And I had to keep that money to catch up for whenever, like, for example, the new game, the new Call of Duty, the new whatever came out, and I had to, like, I wanted to keep playing with my friends. Also, recently I've been playing Elden Ring. Holy crap, that game is so good. This doesn't mean that I'm closed off to the idea of spending money on Destiny 2 at the time, but it certainly wasn't incentivized. Jesus, that's a hard word to say. Incentivized, I'll admit, because as I said before, I had other things that I needed to spend money with to be with my friends and whatever. But I wasn't really desperate to buy Forsaken. I wasn't really desperate to buy other stuff because I still had the Callous Leviathan raids and other stuff like that, which was amazing. It was so much. I'll talk about it right after this, but it was so good. For those that don't know what Leviathan was, it essentially was Callus's, the character that I was talking about before, main ship. A ship of the size, I want to say a planet, but it ate planets, so it was bigger than a planet. And within this ship, we could do 3 raids. You have no idea how long it took me to find evidence of Crown of Sorrow existing, and it's irrelevant due to me being a free-to-play player, so I'm going to pretend it just simply doesn't exist. I know these 3 raids as the main classic one, the weird one, and the hard one. And these raids were so fun. God. I had about 450 hours, I think. I'll look at it. I think but I mean PS4 like recording time isn't really good because a lot of time you're just idle. But I can say with confidence that a majority of them were in these raids. Just straight up, just going over and over and over and over. I'd wake up, back then I'd go to school, I'd come back, get on Destiny 2, and then run these raids with randoms, teaching them how to do it or simply going alone to specifically the classic one because that's the one that allowed me to cheese the most, and then find new ways to just break the raid. I wasn't really like a revolutionary. I didn't really find anything like like groundbreaking, but I had fun doing it. I was having fun finding the like chinks in the system that would allow me to try and get to a certain encounter because that's how the raid was set out. You could go to any encounter if you had a way to go to them. And this combined with the other minor activities like strikes, crucible, and for example Gambit, but Gambit not really because Gambit after a while was a little bit painful. This was the most fun. I've said this already, but this was the most fun I'd ever had with a video game. But nothing that is good will last forever. I messed that up. Good things aren't meant to last. And like Callus's delicious banquet would come to a screeching halt, so would my interest in Destiny 2. That is a bar. That would be like the top thing at a like article about what happened to Destiny 2. The Destiny 2 gods had come down among us and decreed a nightmarish reality. The Leviathan lair would be removed, for various weapons would also be made irrelevant due to sunsetting, which is essentially the level of the weapon would be kept down as other things could rise up, and essentially no matter how good that gun was, its level was so low that it was just useless. And other future expansions would demand money. And as a free-to-player, you can imagine how horrible that appeared to me. And also, editor's note, they removed Titan, which is a whole planet that I loved. It was my favorite planet, and it was also the planet that got me really into the Hive, which is an enemy type in Destiny 2. I really like the Hive in Titan. their aesthetic in Titan, it makes us feel like they're truly Hive. In other planets, for example, the moon, the Mars, and the even in the future, the Witch Queen planet world, whatever, it doesn't feel like they're Hive. It doesn't feel like they're cultish monstrous beings. It just feels like they're another faction. And it's so funny. It's kind of like how people whitewash, right? Eventually what happened to the hive is we guardian washed them to a point where like they got light powers the same as us. They had characters that were like fully developed and they weren't like these entities of the hive. So it's kind of funny how like you could very vaguely do a parallel, but that's essentially what happened to the hive after they got removed from the titan from my point of view. Also, as a free to play person, having half of like a lot of whole planets being removed is horrible. Because that's I would go to Titan just for the aesthetic of the place, the like stuff like that, and now I couldn't. And now other planets where all of the content was sealed off because you had to pay money. I don't think anyone could argue for Destiny not being a wallet simulator nowadays. And to a relevant degree, I think that it's been like completely accepted. But I think it's important to note how exasperating the difference and disconnection is between those that pay and those that don't. As a free to player, it has impacted me how much people can actively hate this game, but also it indeed still has a cult following of those who pay each season, each expansion, and play the game as much as possible, no matter how fun I perceive what they're doing is. Which, kudos to them. If they're having fun, that is all a video game is supposed to give you. So much fun. And if doing the same crappy activity does it for them, it does it for them. I don't know what to say there. That's another whole issue. This disconnection is very visible to me when I, for the 1000th time, tell those who play Destiny how fun the Leviathan raids were. How fun these raids were, and they shrug it off because I mean they weren't there for them, but at the same time, they just pay for content and they're like, "Wow, this content is amazing." I'm like, "But I don't want to pay 50 euros, or I guess the conversion from 50 euros would be 55 bucks. I don't want to pay 55 bucks for something that I could do I that I'm not even gonna enjoy as much as what I had before that was ripped away. Like the disconnection from how they just allowed something so horrible, such a crime against gaming happen is insane to me. I don't know why I'm smiling because this is really upsetting. I remember how devastated I was when I first was told about the news. The betrayal of Bungie and disconnection from the very players who were playing the same game as me made me leave for 4 years. So I essentially played from 2018 to 2020. Uh, and then COVID hit. I played more or less, but mid COVID is when they announced, "Oh yeah, we're removing everything you love." So I was like, "Okay, bye bye." And now I came back in 2024 because they made a bunch of campaigns free for a bit, and now they're no longer free. I'm sorry, I should have made this video much before, but I didn't. And the game still feels really bad when you're not doing the peak of Destiny, which I'll talk about in a second. I'm so glad talking about what I missed in those 4 years. I'm so glad I missed Stasis. It doesn't look fun at all, and I'm kind of sad I missed Witch Queen because I like the Hive as I said before, but Callus was the reason I was invested in the story or the characters of Destiny 2. They were he was the star of the show to me, and a lot of I it might be a little bit vain, but at the same time, it's it would be vain if they just removed Callus and the raids were still there. The fact that they removed content, they stole so much from us, from free to play players, and then just kind of just accepted it and gave us, I think, like two or three raids that were in Destiny 1. It's just such a scam, and it's such an insult that I don't, I think it's justified that I left for those 4 years. When I came back in 2024, um, I came to, what's it called? Lightfall? Lightfall? Destiny 2, yeah, Lightfall. Oh my god. I came back to Destiny Lightfall. So, those who have played or have heard about Lightfall know already what I'm about to say. Lightfall is probably some of the worst gaming I've ever experienced in my entire life. I was the only reason I really got back into Destiny 2, apart from the campaigns being free, is because I had some lovely friends of mine who are getting back into Destiny 2. I don't know why. It's probably due to how Destiny 2, the main campaign, is ending. The whole story is ending. Because, as I said before, the raid that someone just finished and that is still doing right now, and I'm watching him right now, he's doing shooting some like weird pyramids to make a triangle. um, this raid is against the Witness, who is the final enemy of Destiny 2. And it's like the whole finale, right? But I doubt it's going to be the finale because probably going to do some other shenanigan after it's saying, hey, don't leave us. We need you. We treated you, we're treating you really badly, but we need you, so don't leave. But Lightfall was an insult to me because not only was it horrible writing, not only did it have characters that you just could not care less for, it did something that, like, from a my point of view, just felt so ironic and like just insulting. It brought back Callus, who had disappeared so long ago, 4 years, and he was no longer the great Callus that I knew him as. He wasn't the great emperor. He wasn't a commandeering a huge ship and king of the fucking cabal. He was a simp. A simp for a smoky person who, as you can see right now, he does not look intimidating at all. Like, compared to how glorious Callus was, he is just so ugh, you know? But Callus had been turned into a simp, and he was stomped out by us in the campaign like a miserable piece of shit. It was really pathetic. The whole fight has constant bugs that people take advantage of to not even fight him. I've seen people just stand on top of the cage that he's in and then just shoot him as he just walks around with two dildos in either hand. And then he also has the whack outfit that he has in Lightfall, which is just like this purple plunger like device that looks like Am from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It's just so upsetting. And much like how we stomped the life out of Callus, Destiny stomped out my love for it in that very moment. Because I mean, I wasn't really holding out for much. I was already really betrayed. But the way they just killed Callus, and they're like, "Oh, hey, but we have the Witness now, right?" I don't care about the Witness. I cared about the Hive. I cared about, you had so many other great enemies, and they did really well with turning the Fallen into our friends. And I don't I just think the direction they went and who they sacrificed to go in that direction was truly a crime against storytelling. And as a free to play player, it just was really awful because the character that gave us such good content before now was presenting essentially presenting some of the worst content in the entire gaming franchise. So, yeah. So, thus, I think it's about time I give my advice to those who don't want to spend money but are thinking of playing Destiny 2. Here's my final dictum. I'll probably have timestamps for this entire video because it's very like ranty and I don't want to bore people. Here's my final answer. Do not, don't, don't do it. Don't, don't download Destiny 2. Don't invest a lot of time into this game. Maybe if you want to check it out, yeah, sure, but don't. The final answer, if I'm forced to say a yes or no, no, absolutely, resounding no. And Destiny 2, here's why. Well, no, I already give why because they ripped off a bunch of content and everything that is nowadays you need to pay $50 for it. Destiny 2 is really only enjoyed if you have friends who are on the same investment in the game as you. If you are going to as a free to play, I hope you have 5 more friends who are willing to do the stuff that is only available to free to plays with you. Randoms in Destiny are notoriously known for being huge fucking nerds who demand the best of you and they don't really care about you. This means that if you're, for example, alone and you don't have friends and you want to do a raid, well, you're going to have to go into public lobbies and do the raid with random people who will demand that you already know everything about the raid, that you have good weapons, or else they'll be like, you're a fucking useless person and they kick you or whatever. And being inept is on you, right? But for example, for the Leviathan ones, when I was inept, people were still like, oh, it's a free raid. It doesn't matter that it's been out for a year. I'll teach you because I was there. I was one of those people that would teach you and I was I would do it with a smile and it was fun every single time, no matter how many times you messed up. But nowadays it's just, oh, you mess up, you don't have the new exotic that lets you do this amount of damage. I'm banning you, kid. Get kicked. And then they just boot you. This hasn't really happened to me because I played with good friends, but like you can smell how bad some of these people like just you can let me rephrase. Say that again. You can tell how bad some of these people smell just by how like optimized they are at this game because at the end of the day, Destiny 2 nowadays is honestly just a nerd fest. It's you have to calculate the best build and stuff like that, and then you become these elitists. It's fine if you want to optimize. I find a lot of fun in optimizing builds in, for example, Elden Ring, Armored Core, for example. But then it's like the elitist side of these people that just so disgusting because you don't have fun. They don't. I assume they don't have fun. Nobody has fun, and it's just horrible. I just started ranting. Um, yeah, they don't care about you. As of right now, Destiny 2 only has 2 raids available, and apparently they're notoriously boring. I think they're the ones that, as I said before, were added from Destiny 1. And now for the caveat and an outro, because I've been talking for 24 minutes. If they do another every campaign is free for a month type of thing, hop on Destiny 2. Really, it's worth it. And do as much of the content as you can with your friends or even alone, because it might feel like you're cramming, but doing the raids in Destiny 2 can be some of the most fun in the entirety of gaming. Okay, now I probably want to apologize because this is my first really like edited and actually scripted content, so my voice probably sounds really bad. And I'm probably gonna try and edit a lot of stuff in, like some more like speeches and paragraphs into the video, because I reached out to a couple of creators who made Leviathan speedrun content 4 and 5 and 6 years ago. Well, no, 7 years ago even. and told them, "Hey, can I use your content?" And they graciously said yes. And I want to use their content because I think speedrunning Destiny 2 is also some of the most impressive stuff. I could never do it. It looks like it's a grind fest, and then you only get to really like taste the fruit of your labors every now and then, because you have to grind back to a certain level and then it resets you each season and you have to grind back up. It doesn't sound fun. Oh my god, speedrunning looks so cool from an outsider's perspective. And I guess that's how you should enjoy Destiny 2 nowadays, from an outside perspective. And with that, say bye bye. Maybe. Hopefully. Unless like I have to add something after this.